Hi, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joybaking.com. Today we're going to make an apple popover, or maybe you know it as an apple pancake. Like all popovers, this is going to be baked in a very hot oven. So the first thing we need to do is preheat the oven to 420 degrees, 25 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 220 degrees Celsius. And then you're going to need either an 8 or a 9-inch, 23 centimeter oven-proof skillet. Now you want to make sure that you can put your frying pan or skillet in the oven. That means no plastic handle. Today I'm using actually a cast iron frying pan. And then there's two parts to this apple popover. There's the apples and there's the batter. The first thing we're going to do is make the popover batter. I'm going to use a food processor. You could use a blender, or you could even use a hand mixer, or just even do it by hand. So all we're going to do is just put all the ingredients in the food processor. So I have here 3 large eggs, a half a cup, that's 120 milliliters of milk, and you can use whole milk, you could use 2%, you could even use skim, whichever you want, and 2 tablespoons of melted butter. It's about 30 grams, and you can use either the salted or the unsalted, or you could use even one of those buttery spreads if you want. And then 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract, and try to use the pure, it's a lot better flavor than the artificial. 2 tablespoons, 25 grams of granulated white sugar, just for a little sweetness. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. If you use salted butter, I would just leave that salt out. And then just a half a cup, 65 grams of all-purpose flour, or maybe you know that as plain flour. And then all I'm going to do is process this for about a minute. We just want to mix everything together and then get a little air into the batter as well. Okay, and that's it. And then for the apples. The reason we make the batter first is because once we saute the apples in a little melted butter and cinnamon sugar, while the apples are still hot, we want to pour that batter over the apples and then get it into the hot oven right away. So now you will need about a pound, 450 grams of sliced apple. I'm using a Granny Smith. You could use any firm textured apple you want. What you want to make sure is you don't want to use one that when it bakes it gets mushy. So long as you use an apple that keeps its shape, then that'll be fine. So I'll just show you how I slice up an apple. This is a large Granny Smith, so I just cut it in half. And then on either side of the core, I just take my knife and just cut straight down and straight down. And then at the bottom where the core is, I cut straight across. Now, of course, you could peel it. Some people like to peel the whole apple and then slice it. It's all different ways, but this is the way I do it. And then I just take a paring knife and just peel it. And while I do that, I'm going to put about a tablespoon, 15 grams, of butter in your frying pan, and I'm just going to put a medium-high heat. Just want to melt that butter. So just peel your apple. You could do this ahead of time, and if you do, as you know, sliced apples do brown when they're exposed to the air. So just squeeze a little lemon juice over the top, and that will prevent your apples from turning brown. And then what I'm going to do is just slice them into about 1/4 inch, about 1/2 centimeter. Let's turn that down a bit. If you didn't have an 8 or a 9-inch frying pan, I mean, you could use a 10-inch, a 25 centimeter. Just keep in mind that your pancake will be, or your popover will be thinner, and it also take a little less time to bake. So just make sure the butter's the bottom. And then what I have here is about a tablespoon. You can vary that depending on the tartness of your apples, but I find about a tablespoon, 15 grams. And then just a quarter of a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Of course, if you're not a fan of cinnamon, you could always leave that off, but it does add a nice flavor. So then we just put our apples in there, and then I'm just going to sprinkle the cinnamon sugar over the top and toss it around. So over medium-high heat, we're just going to saute the apples just until, we don't want them really soft, but just till they soften up a little, because they will continue to bake in the oven. But they're quite firm right now, so we want them to cook a little. Now this is very nice for breakfast, for brunch. You know, even if you're having a very light supper, like soup or something like that, it'd be nice to have this for dessert. And if you like, sometimes if I have some fresh raspberries or blackberries in the house, I'll sprinkle those in too. I mean, really, you could use pears for this, or peaches, or just berries. Try it with all different types of fruits. Really smell the cinnamon. Love that smell. Make sure those slices are not clumped together. Okay. Now what you want to make sure to do is kind of have an even layer of the apples. Now while those finish up, what I'm going to do now is just process this again, just to make sure everything's all mixed together. Okay, so that's good. So as you can see, they're not really soft. They give a little, but they're still quite firm. And then I'm going to just pour this as even as I can over the top. And like I said, like all popover batters, you want to get this in the oven right away. And then what's going to happen, we're going to bake this about 18-20 minutes. It's going to puff up. It's going to become really nice golden brown color and quite crisp on the outside, but yet inside is going to be really quite soft, almost custard-like. So about 18-20 minutes. Okay, our apple popover is now done. As you can see, it's just beautiful. It's all puffed and golden brown. I think I forgot to mention, but do not open the oven door for at least the first 15 minutes of baking, because if you do, then it'll deflate and we don't want that. Now, like any popover, Yorkshire pudding, this will start to deflate shortly after baking. So we want to serve it almost immediately. So what I like to do is just sift some powdered sugar over top, kind of dresses it up. And then keep in mind this pan is really hot. So what I like to do is almost put my oven mitt over that so I don't burn myself, because I have done that. And then with the sharp knife, we're just going to cut this. And as big or as small pieces as you like. Okay, just gonna make sure it's loose, and then use either spatula, some type. I'll get this under here, and have your plate nearby. And there we have it. Apple popover. Now you can serve this with, I like softly whipped cream, yogurt, even ice cream if you're serving it for dessert. And as you'll notice, apples, and inside it's quite soft and fluffy, almost custard-like. So, a whipped cream on there. And there you have it, an apple popover. So until next time, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joybaking.com.